This is Talkback with Peter Christian and John King. 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309.
This is Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
Newstalk KGVO,
Missoula's news and weather station.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong script. To Talkback. First half hour is brought to you by Bitterroot Motors, doing it right for more than 41 years. Also brought to you by Temp Ride Service, call Team Blues, 728-1111, and also the Mustard Seed Restaurant.
The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Hey, welcome everybody to a winter wonderland. Ho, ho, ho.
I'm not sure a lot of parents are experiencing the wonder part of it this
Well, those whose kids are staying home from school today, I'm sure are not.
Only 2 hours, though. What I'm getting on my end is a lot of complaints that the schools aren't closed all over the place, that they're just doing delays.
The report that I had was as of 4 o'clock this morning, only a couple of school districts announced they were actually closing. One of those is Potomac and one was St. Ignatius, along with the school in Arlee there. But the other places have 2-hour delays. Hamilton, Frenchtown, Corvallis, Stevensville, primarily up in the, in the Bitterroot. Charlotte also, and Hot Springs and Lone Rock. So now Valley Christian also starting 2 hours late today, plus the preschool and kindergarten for Valley Christian. Jonathan gave me a call this morning and said those two programs are canceled altogether today.
Which means my wife has extra kiddos at home.
Ta-da! There you go. So, good morning, everybody. Go ahead.
Well, we got obviously a little bit of a whiteout here on the floor, but also we got a call right before the show about a blackout. And this is something I don't, in my isolated island, I am a rock. I am an island. I don't have these fancy things like cable TV that everybody else has.
Not only that, he's not a football fan either.
Also, don't really care about football all that much.
Yeah.
But I know people like you do, Peter, and one of our callers called in. He says, there's a blackout going on, DirecTV. They don't have the sports games I want to watch. Other things are being blocked out.
All right, here's
Peter has a similar experience, right?
Yes. I have Dish Network, okay? And Dish Network and Fox News have been at loggerheads for about 3 weeks, maybe more than a month. So people wanting to hear Bill O'Reilly or Megyn Kelly or Sean Hannity or whatever else is on, with what do they call it, Fox and Friends in the morning. You're a Dish Network subscriber, you're not getting that. And so people are all freaked out. Well, Dish Network is blaming Fox, and Fox is blaming Dish Network because it's contract renewal time. So the idea is each one is reaching out to the Dish Network subscribers saying, call Dish. Fox News is saying, call Dish Network and complain. Tell them you're going to switch to DirecTV if you don't get Fox back on. Dish Network is saying, call Fox Network and say that you're just going to start watching some other news program because they won't be they'll be cooperative and pay more money to be on Dish Network. The exact same thing is happening with DirecTV with their NFL Sunday Ticket. So that's what I understand is happening right now with DirecTV.
So that's got to be a pretty big deal.
And now you got to remember that NFL Sunday Ticket is an extra. You pay extra for that just to have that on DirecTV or Dish Network.
Wow.
So
when these things happen, are they like just in part of Missoula, or is it like the whole state? Or
let's put it this way: as far as DirecTV, I'm not a DirecTV subscriber. I don't know, but as far as Dish Network goes, it's nationwide.
Nationwide.
Yeah.
Well, I did find some stuff nationally on the Fox blackout that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But my quick search this morning, I couldn't find anything about the NFL ticket. If you have problems with either of these things, the snow day or the blackout of particular programming, give us a call, 721-1290.
And not only that, but if you made it to work or school successfully today, congratulations. You get the Silver Skates Award for being able to drive around on heavy snow topped by freezing rain. So it was an exciting adventure getting to work or school. I came to work a little after 3 this morning, and none of the roads in my neighborhood had been plowed. So my little Honda Accord was struggling mightily to try to stay afloat. So let's get to the phones. I understand. This is John. Oh, that's interesting. Well, see if we
Diane, we'll get you right
see
on.
if we get line 1 on. Good morning. Whoop, there's nobody on line 1 there, buddy.
It got dropped somehow.
Let's get Diane. Good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? What's going on?
Oh, I was just listening as I was driving south and thought I'd call in. I'm a DirecTV subscriber.
All right.
And I don't have the NFL ticket, but what is being blocked is our local CBS station.
Really?
And so the Cowboys and Lions game was affected.
Oh, that's what that was. So that was KPAX.
And KPAX is CBS.
Right.
So I think it's a local dispute.
Okay. All right.
Currently with that, but anyway, we just watched it via an antenna and avoided the DirecTV stuff. So,
Now this happened last year with KECI, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yeah.
Oh, now, fun times.
Now, is it a deal where KPAX is being asked to pay more to be an affiliate with DirecTV or a CBS affiliate, or is that the deal with all the CBS affiliates?
See, I don't know. I seem to think it's a local thing.
Wow.
But I really haven't investigated it. Dish Network had a similar dispute a year ago with NBC, and coming up on the Olympics, that we did switch from Dish Network to DirecTV.
Wow.
And with this one, I figured, okay, CBS, local, I can get it. I don't need to bother with the switching.
So were you freaked out that they didn't have Fox News anymore, so you switched over?
No, the Fox News thing didn't happen until I had already switched, so I wasn't even concerned with that one.
I gotcha. All right, Diane, thanks for the call, and listen, drive safely out there. How are the roads where you are?
Not good, but, when people are driving slowly, there doesn't seem to be any crazies on the road, so I'm good with that.
So whereabouts are you?
I'm between Missoula and Molo, headed to Hamilton.
All right, well, listen, you drive safe, keep both hands on the wheel, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
I think they might have timed this. It's New Year's. A lot of people have resolutions. I'm sure some people resolved not to waste their time watching TV all year. And this is just DirecTV trying to help you out there.
Waste your time?
Yes, Americans waste an enormous amount of time watching TV.
Okay, I'm going to try to keep my blood pressure in check here.
I'm going to look it up. Just so you know, because you will be shocked at how much Americans
trust
watch
me,
TV.
I know. Dave, we're going to get you on in a moment. We're up against a break. We have 2 lines open at 721-1290.
Hello, this is Steve Daugherty with the Daugherty Law Office wishing you a Happy New Year. When we think of New Year, we associate it with parties and short-lived gym memberships. It is also the time to review our estate plan. Most people sign a will and they throw it in a file and are glad to forget about it, and understandably so. But consider how much life has changed since you signed your will. Are minor children now adults or married? Have children or grandchildren been born? And can you even remember who you've designated as beneficiaries on your accounts and insurance policies? You see, as life and estate laws change, so should our estate plans. And if you have yet to create a will, well, why not now? Therefore, during this January, I'm offering free 1-hour consultations for any listeners who schedule an introductory appointment. So I encourage you, please visit my website and request a free consultation at MissoulaEstateLaw.com. Again, that's MissoulaEstateLaw.com, and click the Request a Consultation button. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Hi, it's Denny Bedard for Decker Truck Line. Have you ever driven for a company that really treats its drivers like the big part of the team they are? Have you had a top-end benefit package with a matching 401k? Have you ever worked for a company that seriously invests in your training and growth as a driver? Well, maybe it's time to drive Decker. In just 4 years, they've grown to 200 drivers in Missoula for the long haul. See for yourself at 8350 Highway 10 West or online, DeckerTruckline/terminal/Missoula.
Your local experts, Nightingale Nursing and Caregiving, offers tips on activities this winter. Whatever your holiday traditions, activities can add some special fun to the season. Crafts, parties, and baking, tasty treats can be fun activities for all ages, from youth to elderly. There are also special showings of holiday-themed movies during the day at local theaters. Nightingale Nursing and Caregiving extends warm wishes to you and your family this holiday season. Find Nightingale Nursing online at homehealthnursing.com. Here for you through the seasons of life. We're getting down and getting back up again. All right, 721-1290 is the number, 1-800-568-5309. And, okay, I've got to figure this out. See, what people are not realizing as they're listening to the Radio Ranch this morning, it sounds like Peter's a little distracted. Well, you know, there's an old saying, to err is human, but to really screw up, you got to have a computer. And so we're having some major computer issues with what we call our prophet computer. Not prophet as in profit and loss, but prophet as in Moses, okay? and so the buttons are all screwed up, so things have, it's just a mess. So if it sounds like I'm just kind of herky-jerky trying to figure stuff out, that's exactly what's going on.
Well, during the break I said, or right before we left off, I said,
Yes.
I'd look up how often Americans watch TV. This is from the Nielsen Company.
Okay, John, make us feel stupid. How much do we watch?
Well, I didn't know it off the top of my head because I was too busy watching TV to figure it out. But anyway, the average American watches more than 4 hours of television per day. That's about 28 hours a week. Or, and this is the stat that really got me, 2 months of nonstop television watching per year.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Whew, I got my quote in already, and it's not even, it's January 5th?
but get this. So this does not count, it doesn't count movies.
Wow.
It doesn't count watching anything on the computer.
Like
it doesn't count playing video games or handheld devices.
Wow.
This is just straight up television watching.
Amazing. All right, let's get back to the phones. And now that we all feel guilty and stupid. Dave, good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Yeah, good morning. I have a couple of things about this Dish deal. I'm a Dish subscriber, but I don't think I'm going to pay them this month until they get with it, and if they cut me off, so be it. But it's occurred to me that possibly the Federal Communications Commission, another agency of the regime, has leaned on Dish to lean on Fox by increasing their rent by double, perhaps, I don't know, in order to keep them off the airwaves.
Well,
because they are critical of this administration.
Well, that could be one explanation.
No.
All right, thanks, Dave.
All right, bye.
Appreciate the call. Florence, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Or it could just be plain old-fashioned greed.
Or Charter.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Florence.
Hi, we don't have Dish, DirecTV, or Charter.
Wow,
We
okay.
have Rabbit Ears.
All right. So,
And we get plenty, we get all the locals. We get 4, 13, 5, 11s, 23, 8. Didn't miss one football game this weekend.
now let me ask you this, Florence. Do you have, like, digital rabbit ears or just regular old rabbit ears?
$10 Rabbit Ears from Walmart.
Really?
Uh-huh.
How about that? Now, whereabouts do you live? What part of town?
On Agnes over by the mall.
You live by the mall. Okay. So, see, I have a friend who lives in Lolo who couldn't afford cable or Dish or whatever, and so they tried the rabbit ears and couldn't get a single channel out there.
Yeah, at my old house, we were on the south side over by, I guess it's Albertsons now?
Yeah.
On Russell. And we couldn't get anything. When they switched to digital for everything, I had an aluminum Empire State Building, and I still couldn't get anything.
Well, like I said, I've got the $10 cheapos from Walmart, and we get everything we need plus more.
Well, let us know, because, the next playoff, we're coming to your house, but we'll bring the popcorn, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Florence.
Uh-huh.
Bye. 721-1290 is our number. So that might be a good question. I realize we watch too much TV, but since we do, let's get down into the weeds here. And if anybody out there, Florence had a good suggestion, if anybody out there is able to get all the channels they want without having to spend, it starts out being a $19.95. No. it usually ends up being between $80 and $100 a month if you want to get a decent package with some movies and some. I mean, I'm not talking premier movies like HBO and Showtime. That's even more than that. But things like Turner Classic Movies or Fox News or whatever, as the popularity goes up, they move them into these higher priced deals. Mm-hmm. So it's all supply and demand. It's all capitalism. So
what I really like is the digital age, and I am very excited for the future where I don't have to have. Right now you have to buy these big packages, right?
Right.
You buy this channel and you get 14 other channels you don't want. Right. 15 QVC channels.
May I expound on that? Okay. In Dish Network, I probably watch maybe 5 or 6 channels of all my Dish Network channels. Okay. And I have 300. Most of them are things like you said, QVC, shop here, shop there. I'm not into cooking. I don't care about the cooking channel. And I called and I said, is there any way I can just get these 6? And we don't do that. That would be like having a la carte. And we can't do a la carte because we won't make any money. So, okay.
Well,
guess that's how it goes.
You can have a la carte. You just got to go to the internet and get what you want there.
Yeah, I want to know from you folks if there's anybody out there that has mastered the art of getting. I know there's Hulu Plus. And there's Netflix, and there's all sorts of ways to get these programs without necessarily bowing the knee to a Dish Network or DirecTV. So if there's a way to do that, give us a call, 721-1290. Maybe we can share that with our listeners. And we'll be right back with more here in just a moment. By the way, thanks for joining us here on Talkback.
Here's what one of our customers had to say about Mountain States Collision Repair.
I've had 2 vehicles repaired at Mountain States Collision, and both times I was treated right. Staff is very helpful, and their repair service is quick. Pricing was better than everyone else in town. If I have the misfortune of needing more auto body work, the first and only call will be to Mountain States.
Put your trust in the collision repair specialists most new car dealers prefer. Mountain States Collision Repair, where honesty and quality come together. Call 406-721-0881.
On Monday's Montana Morning, National Weather Service meteorologist Corby Dickerson says the first big winter storm of the season will dump a lot of snow on western Montana.
All said and done, Missoula Valley, people will probably be seeing, 10 to 12 inches of snow total. It'll probably keep snowing, but more of a wet snow as we move through Monday afternoon.
Montana Morning, weekdays 6 to 8 on Newstalk Radio 1290, KGVO AM and 101.5 FM. Okay. Like I say, our computers are revolting. Well, you know what I mean? They're engaging in civil disobedience, put it that way. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. Okay.
So I've been reading down this list.
Yes.
And it just gets more disturbing.
Oh, no.
The TV list. Because they start comparing the amount of television watching to the other things that you would do with your day. It really got disturbing when it got to children.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So the approximate number of studies examining TV's effects on children, there's been over 4,000. Number of minutes per week that parents spend in meaningful conversation with children.
What's that?
Well, what do you think it is? Let's just start off with the question says number of minutes per week. So we're not talking about hours of conversation here. 3.5 minutes per week of meaningful, quote unquote, I guess defined by the respondent.
Go clean your room.
Now guess how many minutes of television watching that kid does each week? Average American kid.
Per week?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I would say 36 hours.
1,680 minutes. I don't know. I got to divide that by 24. I don't have the time for that. All right. Watch too much TV. Can't do it fast enough. All right. Percentage of daycare centers that use a TV during the typical day, 70%.
Well, of course.
Percentage of parents who would like to limit their...
You got to keep the little ones numbed out, so...
73% of parents would like to limit their children's television watching.
Yeah.
Percentage of 4 to 6-year-olds, when asked to choose between watching TV and spending time with their fathers, preferred television, 54%.
Wow.
Television.
Preferred TV over dad.
Yeah, but some dads aren't as cool as me.
Dads are fun, man. Let's get out and have some fun. Let's go out and do some sled and stuff like that.
Let's go learn about responsibility. Here, kid. Oh, I was that dad the other day. We were out shoveling the driveway, right? I was making my 4-year-old help.
Wow.
And he starts running, weird circles and stepping on the snow. I'm like, I kept on trying to. No, you want to do it this way, and I was like, just go have fun. I'm tired of trying.
That's right.
You're out here shoveling or attempting to have a good time.
Kids and dogs and skiers and snowmobilers know what to do with snow. Okay, the rest of us are cursing under our breath, thinking, "Great, it's just that much more work I have to do to get rid of this stuff." Okay. Which is me. I freely admit, okay, I've tried to learn how to ski. I'm a hopeless loser, okay? I don't have a snowmobile. I don't sled. I'm 60 years old, for crying out loud. I'm not sledding anymore. So when I see it begin to snow, I pop a couple of Excedrin, and get ready to go out and break my back shoveling my 150-foot driveway.
Now, he says break his back, but you have a fancy schmancy snowblower, right?
Which I don't really use very much. And let me tell you why, okay? The reason I don't use it is because most of the time when I'm shoveling, it's really early in the morning, okay? And so for me to fire that thing up is going to kill my neighbors, and they're going to hate it. So I went out to the local hardware store, and I bought one of these really wide, what looks like a bucket with a great big handle on it that you use with both hands to shovel with. And I will tell you, in the last couple of weeks when I've used that, it is actually, it actually moves and gets rid of the snow as quickly as it did with my snowblower, and yet without all the noise and the stink. And
I use a secret weapon.
Your wife?
No, I wish. Actually, I don't think my wife's shoveled the snow at all this year.
Okay.
But hey, honey, if you want to try it out, I forgot to do it this morning because I was running late. But when the snow's dry, I usually just use a push broom.
A broom
With a big,
Well, I've got one of those push brooms.
Yeah, when the snow's dry, it's faster. It's so easy.
I know that, but when you've got 8 or 9 inches, you can't use a push broom on 8 or 9 inches of snow.
You're supposed to get it before you get to 8 or 9.
All right, let's get to the phone and say hello to Candy. Candy, what's up, kid?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Fantastic.
I don't know if we've finished with the TV situation or not, but we haven't had TV in 19 years. It was the best thing we ever did for our kids. The last 3 were homeschooled, and they didn't spend any time watching TV. They had to go sneak it at a friend's. And they read more. They drew more. We interacted more. They found more things to do outside. And plus, we never did much computers. Well, I don't think we did any because they're older now, but we didn't do hardly any computer stuff whatsoever. And it was a strange weekend. There were just like no commercials. It was nice on the radio.
What was it like when you first quit TV? Did your kids have experience with TV and then you dropped it off hard, or did they just grow up without it?
No. They had it. It was about 2 months or so, I think, of adjustment. And we didn't do any movies or anything. And they went without it. They watch movies and stuff like that now as they're older, but I don't know how much actual TV they do.
Well, let me ask you this. Was there a great deal of wailing and gnashing of teeth when you first stopped it?
No.
Okay.
No, we just cut off the cable and said, we really don't need this in our life. It's not really helping us much. You're sitting there in front of the tube and you're mesmerized and you're being hypnotized and you're being made complacent, and go create a riot somewhere.
Create a riot. Get down to Ferguson, son.
Kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Candy. Appreciate the call. 721-1290. I will freely admit I am a TV mind-numbed robot. I like watching television. I really do. I was a TV baby. I was one of those kids, a child of the 50s, that grew up watching The Lone Ranger and watching Superman and Batman and all that great stuff.
Bam!
Pow! Yeah, exactly. Pow, bam, right. Up, and away! That kind of stuff. I mean, so.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I always think of that the kid from the Willy Wonka, the original Willy Wonka movie.
Right.
Where
Charlie.
he gets in trouble for watching too much television, right? That was his. Each of them has kind of like a modern vice.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
There's the
yeah,
glutton,
yeah.
and
Right.
she gets turned into a blueberry, and then the TV kid tries to go through the TV, and it's disembodied or something.
Okay. Well, 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. If you'd like to talk about this a little while longer, we are going to be shifting gears here in a few minutes.
Tyler on line one.
Tyler on line one. Tyler is on line one. Good morning, Tyler. What's up, buddy?
Snuck in there under the line.
What's going on?
Oh, it's just calling about the TV outage. I have DirecTV, and I live down in Lolo.
Yeah.
As you know. And we only have KPAX and CW is out. Fox is on.
Yeah, Fox is on DirecTV, but Fox is not on Dish Network.
I didn't catch that. I didn't know. I know you have Dish.
Yes.
But I don't know. So is it the local Fox station?
No, the local Fox station is fine. It's just Fox News. Because see, Fox News has more of viewers than all of the other cable news channels combined. Now we're talking CNN, MSNBC, you name it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
even the one that they play nonstop in the airport.
Oh yeah.
Because I've watched that over and over again when I wait for flights.
That's usually CNN.
Yeah. Crazy.
They have a contract for that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
All right, thanks.
Well,
Tyler.
hey, thanks for your call, Tyler. I've gotten this twice. 2 people have commented on this. So
right.
Susie has posted on our Facebook page, so I'll read her comment.
Please do.
But G. Anderson also said something similar when he called in. She says, quote, "We have a digital antenna I bought from Amazon for $39.99. Well, G. Anderson says he got his at Walmart, so shop where you want.
Sure.
The cheaper one did not pick up KSPS, the PBS station from Spokane or ABC in Missoula.
That means you couldn't get Downton Abbey, which my wife watched last night. So go ahead.
I also watched it last night.
Okay.
It was the first TV show I watched since the Olympics.
Don't tell me.
And everybody dies of smallpox.
Don't tell me what happened. Just. Oh, I'm sorry. God, jeez. Like telling me who won the football game, you jerk. Anyway, we're gonna. There was a fight on the radio today, Mom. Peter hit John King with a mallet because he told him what happened on Downton Abbey.
That's all right. I got paper cuts all over my face.
Go ahead.
I'll make it through. Anyway, she says, we also have Amazon Prime for $99 and get amazing programs that way. So we get all the local programs and the great series
$99
on TV for a total of about $140 with no extra cost.
Now, you're talking $140 per month or $140 per year?
I guess
because
maybe Susie can answer that.
Even I don't pay $140 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, for all those Dish Network channels.
So my wife and I, we have the only thing we get is Netflix.
Okay, all right.
So I think we pay like $18 a month or something.
And so who's online?
Well, we got Fred Thomas,
okay.
Our special guest coming up.
Excellent.
State legislator for the Senate, and he's out of River Valley County. We'll be talking about a couple of things, but most specifically, we got a request last Friday that we get Fred on to talk about this new Republican plan for health care and health insurance in the state of Montana. So
Medicaid,
that's what we did.
We're going to come right back after this quick timeout. Stay with us. Talkback continues here in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Bob Burton with Grizzly Gold and Silver. Are you worried about the constant devaluing of the U.S. dollar? Are you looking for ways to not only protect your assets, but keep those assets in your control? Come visit us at Grizzly Gold and Silver. One of our bullion experts can provide you with information on investing in gold and silver. We sell physical gold and silver, not a piece of paper that says you own gold and silver. Come see us today at 1935 Brook Street next to the Muffler Bandit, or give us a call at 541-6690.
You've driven by it 1,000 times on South Avenue. Now it's time to stop in and experience the most authentic Mexican cuisine in all of Missoula. Viva Mexico! Sergio takes the time to prepare every plate special, guaranteeing you an amazing meal at an amazing price. With huge portions, you'll feel like you're getting 2 meals for the price of 1 every time. Your stomach is growling for one thing and one thing only. Viva Mexico on South Avenue.
Hey, we're back on Talkback, 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. And the fun continues with our friendly little computer system. So, but that's neither here nor there. That doesn't affect you folks at all. But we do have a guest on the line. Fred Thomas is joining us this morning. Good morning, Senator Thomas. How are you, sir?
Oh, good. Very good. Thank you. Good morning to you and all. Yes.
You bet. I'm assuming you're in Helena right now.
That's right. Thank goodness. I got over here yesterday afternoon. The roads weren't that hot, but I'm glad to be here now. The roads probably are worse.
Oh, they are terrible. We've got about 8 inches of fresh snow with freezing rain on top. It's a nice little, nice. It's like Sunday, a Sunday with the cherry on top. So, yeah.
Right.
So anyway.
I invited you on, Fred. We spoke last week, and by the way, if you want to listen to that interview I had with Mr. Thomas, we have it up on our website. I'll put it up on our Facebook page right now. But the crux of it was on last Friday's Talkback show, our first one in the new year. We got a request that we get Mr. Thomas on to talk about the Republicans' plan for health insurance and expanding coverage to those kind of in the gap that was left after the Affordable Care Act came in, but didn't cover certain people below the poverty line. And so I was going to give Fred an opportunity to kind of explain what the plan is and what they hope to achieve in this legislative session.
Well, thank you, John, and all. We've been working at this about a year and a half, and seeing that the only real proposal on the table was to just expand this Medicaid deal under Obamacare. And we felt that we really needed to research this, take a hard look under that hood, and see what we find. And what we did find is that there are some people that need to have some consideration that are kind of left out of the loop and unable to get health insurance because of their funding, the level of their income rather, and the circumstances that they're in, whether they're a working disabled person that doesn't qualify for SSDI, or a low-income parent, or a veteran that is in the circumstance of having not being able to get taken care of by the VA in that situation. So temporary assistance there from us. So we decided that we ought to really throw that on the table and say let's try and take care of them. But in the meantime, there's another group of people there that we would not under Obamacare's Medicaid expansion deal, and that's a group that is able-bodied, childless individuals that are below the federal poverty level, which is $11,670, that we wouldn't extend there, and that would not be what we would do. So beyond that, though, we found a great deal of things that need to be done in the world of reforming insurance, trying to put the tools in place to reduce healthcare costs and create a better, lower costing scenario there. And if you think of it, as an industrialized nation, the industrialized nation in the world, we spend just too much on healthcare in general to start with. We spend like twice as much as most other countries, and we need to reduce the costs, not increase the costs.
So two of the cost-saving methods that you spoke to me about last week included, one, reforming Medicaid, and two, kind of shoring up litigation, or tort reform, I guess would be another way to say it. Kind of explain to us how you get around to reforming Medicaid.
Well, that'll be a key component, and this area is kind of an area that hasn't been touched on for a decade. Under Schweitzer and current governor have done nothing to say let's audit, let's make sure the people that are on Medicaid still qualify. Let's do pilot programs around the state, possibly do them through hospitals so that they can create their own model that they think would be a good way to research the kind of the healthcare delivery and create better outcomes for patients that are on Medicaid and save money at the same time. So having these pilots will be a central part to our legislation reforming Medicaid, so that at the end of the pilots, then we can take a look and say, okay, look at this one here that XYZ hospital did, or whoever it is that's doing this. They've got a model that created the best outcomes for patients, better outcomes, and one that's saving money too. That kind of scenario. Those are two key components, we think.
So basically you have...
try and roll that out statewide as much as possible.
Real quick, just so I understand. So you have different hospitals testing different coverages for Medicaid?
Yeah.
Or different procedures, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it is, though, how you pay them. And so they might come in and the hospital somewhere, or whatever entity it is, it says, look, here's what we're going to do with our pilot. We're going to take a capitated rate. You give us X dollars per patient for the primary coordinated care, and we will take care of all those patients, and we'll work with them on their health and help them make good healthcare decisions that have better outcomes and cost less money. And so that hospital might do it that way. The next hospital might not do it that way, or the next pilot project inside the state, they might not do it that way. They might go in and they might say, look, we're going to keep the traditional reimbursements that we have, but we're going to hire people to coordinate the primary care, and we're going to go that route, for example. So what we found is that there's really no one in charge, and there's no one helping people in great need. When somebody's on Medicaid and they're really sick, let's say, you're just kind of thrown to the healthcare world to bounce around and get things done for yourself. The people have no expertise of where to go and what to do. You're just prescribed what to do next, and then you go there. And I'm overgeneralizing, I'm oversimplifying this, but I think there's a great deal of truth in what I say, and so that if we reach in there and we help those citizens, particularly at their greatest time, and when they're spending the most money on health care, we can help them, and we can also achieve a better outcome for them as well as then lower costs.
Okay, Fred, we're up against a break, so we're going to take a quick time out here. We have Timon, who is on the phone, going to be visiting with you here in just a second, has a question for you. We also have one line open for you. If you'd like to visit with Senator Fred Thomas as they struggled through this whole deal of trying to figure out the best way to include the truly needy in Medicare and still try to be as economically responsible as possible. That's what I hear Fred saying that they're trying to do in the legislature.
Well, and with that, they're basically saying that doing Medicaid expansion the way that the governor wants to do it is not economically responsible.
Right. So we're going to come right back with more of Talk Back right after this. Well, welcome back to Talk Back. 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. I keep trying stuff, John. It's not working, but that's okay. What's that? I'm sorry?
We have poltergeists today.
We have ghosts in the machine. Then there's a song in there somewhere. All right. But Fred Thomas joining us right now. He's a legislator. Now, you're from Stevensville, is that right, Fred?
That's correct. Yep.
All right. And you are a Republican, and you're in the state Senate, and we're talking about Medicaid. So go ahead, John.
Right, yeah. And let's just set up the contradiction here, or at least the fight that'll be going on in the legislative session, because we have two very different opinions about how to cover those people in Montana that don't have health insurance coverage but need it. We've got the governor's plan, which I guess we'll hear more about in the coming weeks, and we also have this plan. Now, is there actually a bill?
The governor's plan is pretty easy. Well, the governor's plan is just accept what the federal government is offering and has offered for the last 2 years.
It is more than that, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Fred can correct me, but I believe he wants to use that money in a little bit different way and run it through a Montana organization.
Is that right, Fred?
Well, yes, the governor is proposing to do a tiny altercation or,
alteration
to it.
Right.
Alteration, that's right. And that would be that instead of having the state bureaucracy manage this expanded Medicaid, for able-bodied childless adults, he would have an insurance company administrate it. And so that's apparently the thinking that there is that if we do that, then we've made it a little bit different. Maybe people will like it more.
So in other words, we can involve another layer of bureaucracy on top of the one that's already there.
Well, that's one way of saying it.
The way the governor would,
but the attempt here is to make it look different. It's really 6 1/2 dozen. It's the same deal.
Yeah, the way the governor sells it, at least in the press releases I get, is that it's a Montana-made solution.
Oh, there you go.
That's,
okay.
Yeah,
all right.
That's that, and $5 you can get a good cup of coffee.
Well, now, Fred, let me ask you this: the criticism that I have heard ever since legislature 2 years ago turned down the Medicaid money is that Republicans are just flat mean. You don't care about the poor. You don't care about people who are underemployed or unemployed, whether they're able-bodied or not. They still need health insurance. They still need help. So why are you mean old Republicans insisting on doing this? And forgive me, I'm just passing along what they said. So
yeah, no, I forgive you. That's okay.
He's really angry because I spoiled Downton Abbey for him.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, look, here's the deal: is that when you get down to it, if we were just to expand Medicaid as Obama and Bullock have proposed, we're committing a serious set of money down the road to this costly program expansion, and it will come at the backs of, frankly, our K-12 system of education down the road, because you will either have to increase taxes, which no one wants to do, hardly anybody wants done to them, or you've got to find the money somewhere else. And that's the spot that you'll have to weigh that out. Is you're going to give education the increase in inflation that is needed there to keep up to date, or are you going to put the money over into the healthcare system to provide free health insurance to able-bodied individuals that don't have kids?
Now, from what I hear you saying is that eventually the federal government is going to basically chip away until all this is being handled by the state. Now, is there?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there a time period involved there that we can plan for, or what? Because I'm trying to put the best face on this possible here.
Right. Well, no. So what the plan right now on normal Medicaid that takes care of the society's most vulnerable: blind, disabled, low-income seniors, and parents. We pay about a third of the cost of that. It's $1 billion program. We pay $300 million a year for that, just round numbers. But that gives you a sense of how that's funded. Obama and the Democrats, when they passed Obamacare, they said, okay, we want to force expansion of Medicaid of anybody under 140%, rounding that number, of federal poverty level, and force the states to do that. And so we'll start. You pay the administrative costs in year one, which in this case are several $1 million in Montana, and then we'll creep the match up to 10%, a full 10% in like 2019. So right now, we're still, last two years, the cost was just administrative costs. We didn't have much of a match in there. This biennium, there would be $30-40 million of matching funds to pay for this expansion. And then it grows next session and next session until you hit this full 10%. Now, that's if it stays at 10%. Now, that's when it's fully implemented, that's at least $100 million to Montana taxpayers and out of the coffers of the general fund to pay for that. And that's where the rub gets, is who are you going to fund? You're going to fund this, or you're going to fund our schools that most of us find to be high priority.
So you're saying that $100 million is just the 10% of the bill?
Yes, that's correct.
That's right. And when does that come up? Because there's kind of like a delayed. They
delayed.
say the maximum you'll ever pay is 10%. So do you know when that would hit?
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Wow.
Okay. Then, though, that's if Congress keeps the match only at 10%.
Right.
Now, if you have any sense in your head, that ain't going to happen. They're going to bump that up to the normal match. Now, if that normal match goes to 1/3 as it is here, you're going from 10% to 30%, 33%. That's a $333 million cost instead of $100 million.
And there goes the state surplus.
Exactly. You got it.
Right.
And so it's serious money. It's a very serious decision that needs to be made. So when you go back to your question, the mean old Republicans, we're trying to be fiscally prudent with the taxpayers, the citizens' money of the state. And I find that to be solid as a rock, and I'll stand on that. And the people that elected me will probably say, just keep doing that.
All right, Fred, hold on, Fred. We're up against a break, so we're going to come right back. If you have a question, or this is tough stuff, because if you want to talk about taxes, Montanans are being deluged, especially here in western Montana, with taxes. We got mountain water. There's another big announcement that came over the weekend there. We've got the Parks and Trails Initiative. It's already been passed. The schools are going to be wanting more money, not just for buildings, but also for for all sorts of other things. And now with Medicaid, Medicare, it's going to be more and more and more and more taxes on fewer and fewer people that are working. So the squeeze is underway. We're going to take a little break, come right back with more of Talk Back right after this. Thanks for joining us back on Talk Back. Just a couple minutes left before we take our hard break at the top of the hour. Fred Thomas, kind enough to join us right at the beginning of the legislative session. They actually get started with hearings and things tomorrow. But Fred's on with us this morning, and Mike would like to make a comment this morning. Mike, you're on with Fred Thomas. Go ahead.
Good morning, Fred. What the state's part of this Medicaid is $100 million, you said?
Of this proposal of the governor's to expand it to able-bodied.
Well, $100 million is what I'm talking about, not people.
Yeah, $100 million. That's correct.
Yeah, the $100 million, and then the federal government's percentage is what?
90.
90. If we figured 25% of the state was drawing Medicaid, it looks to me like it'd be a hell of a lot simpler just to give them the money, let them pay their own bills, and get everybody out of the equation. Because what you looks to me like you're going to have to hire somebody with a PhD, which stands for permanent head damage, to tell this Medicaid person how to apply for Medicaid. Just give them a medical savings account and say, here you go. You're talking huge amounts of money for a small amount of people, and every leech is going to have his hand out trying to suck something out of it, and they will.
Well, I tell you,
by the way, I've been on Medicaid, so I know how it works.
Yeah,
I hope Fred should try 6 months of Medicaid and see just how it works.
All right, tell you what, let's get Fred. We have exactly 1 minute, Fred, before we take our hard break. So if you can respond to what Mike said.
Well, it's an interesting thought. I mean, that you would you would provide medical savings accounts for individuals that are on Medicaid instead of giving them Medicaid coverage. So, I mean, that's something that could be looked at. I'm going to doubt that passes, but I think what he's speaking to, though, as well, is it's not just a panacea to have to be on Medicaid. It's a difficult program that is designed to take care of society's most needy: blind, disabled, low-income parents, and elderly. And it's important. It's a very important program.
Tell you what, hang on to that, Fred. I'm so sorry. We're up against a hard time break here, so we're going to take a break at the top of the hour. Our telephone lines are open at 721-1290. We will continue after this quick. Welcome back to Talk Back. Hour number 2 is underway now, brought to you by the Mustard Seed Restaurant, Temp-Rite Service, and Bitterroot Motors. In addition, stop by McDonald's in Missoula today for 2 Big Macs for just $5, 2 sausage and egg McMuffins, also just $5. And we are back on Talkback. Joining us on the telephone this morning is Fred Thomas, a state senator from Stevensville. And Fred, we've been talking about Medicaid, and unfortunately we had to cut you off there right in the middle of a very important point just prior to our break before the news. So if you want to pick up where you left off, we promise to give you plenty of time to go ahead and finish your point. Go ahead.
Oh, Lord, now I have to think about where I was at.
We're talking about trying to be fiscally responsible to with Medicaid funds, and Mike had mentioned, why not just give everybody a health savings account?
Yeah, and I think there's some merits with that, but I think where we're at, what we're talking was that Medicaid is a very important public program that takes care of what is found to have been society's most important needs, citizens in need. Blind, disabled, low-income seniors, low-income parents,
now,
children.
May I ask you a quick question? All right. Is there any way of actually quantifying, and I realize it's difficult to herd people into little tiny circles or boxes and say, you are this and you are that and you are this, because there's all sorts of intervening variables here and there. But is there any way to quantify just how many people exactly in Montana we're talking about?
Well, the estimates, John, are
well, this is Peter. Go ahead.
Peter, sorry. The estimates are 50 to 70,000 Montanans that this would be expanded to.
Okay.
And so when we kind of lifted the hood and looked under this proposal by Obama, and the Democrats from the U.S. Senate and Congress. When we looked at it, we found that there are some citizens that we think we should address here. And the people that can't qualify for disability, SSDI, Social Security Disability, but are working. And so we thought, let's try and figure that out. Add them, if we can, to normal Medicaid. Low-income parents, I mean, they're doing what they can to raise their family, and their low-income situation, let's try and help them. Seniors in the middle of their a situation of rather veterans in the middle of going from trying to get into the VA and get their help that's needed for them. Possibly we could help them as a bridge. And so we felt that, there's 10, 12,000 citizens in that group, in those three sets, that we think we need to add to normal Medicaid and help take care of them, because they're out in the cold with Obamacare and the VA. And so we didn't design that program. And some will say, well, you're trying to encourage some people to use the exchanges once you get over 100% of poverty. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we didn't design that. That's what's out there. And so we have to use it because it's what's there and available. And so, like with the group of people, the other 50, 60,000 that we wouldn't add to Medicaid, normal Medicaid, that are able-bodied, childless adults, our thought there is that they need to get their income up over 100% of the federal poverty level, and they would qualify for the exchange. And in essence, at that point, have insurance that's is either free or subsidized heavily, one way or the other. And so, federal poverty level is $11,670 for 2014. That's what you use for 2015.
That's for an individual, right?
It's for an individual.
Okay.
And so, that equates at a minimum wage to 29 or 30 hours a week of work. If you're at $12 an hour, it's like, 20 hours a week. And so, and on top of that, having a job is the best social program in the world. And so not only do we want to encourage work, on the flip side, we don't want to discourage work by saying, well, I'm going to stay below the federal poverty level and get free insurance through Medicaid. We're not trying to encourage that society. We're trying to encourage a society that works, accomplishes, grows, develops businesses, employs people. People work there, do a great job for the consumers of that business, and create wealth by doing a great job. That's what we're trying to encourage, not the contrary.
Let me cut to the chase and get the numbers from you as you see it, because there's going to be less people covered in Montana under your plan, I assume, than under the governor's plan. So how many people will be not covered, and how do you justify those people not being covered?
Okay. Well, first of all, again, these are estimates. So the estimate is that there's 50 to 70 people that would come under the governor's plan. In our plan, we're estimating 10, 12,000 would come under our plan, and they're what we find are the next group of citizens that are in most need. The ones that aren't covered would be able-bodied, childless adults, and they would not get free insurance from our government Medicaid program under our plan. And our plan there is that we would work with them to get them up over the federal poverty level of 100%, and then they would qualify on the exchange. And if they're just over that level, that they, in essence, would get coverage for free.
So let me ask you this.
The reason we're not doing that is because, the reason we're not just adding them to the Medicaid rolls is because it costs a great deal of money to the taxpayers, and number one. Number two is because they are able-bodied. They have the ability to get out and go and take care of themselves because they are that scenario.
Okay, now you had just said that the goal is to try to get them up over that 100% of poverty. How is there a mechanism whereby the state of Montana can help that to happen, or is that you want just simply to encourage them to get more part-time jobs or to work more, or what?
Well, from a program standpoint, there is all of the vocational educational systems and schooling to retool and find a new vocation, if that's what somebody wants to do. I mean, that we have, a plethora of programs in that regard to upgrade one's education, whether it's, in the full 9 yards of a college degree or a really good vo-tech degree that creates immediate employment, that kind of thing. So there's that, and lots of opportunity there. And in addition to that, Montana's unemployment has come down. We created another 12,000 jobs in Montana last year. That's a good, healthy rate of new jobs. And I still talk to people where they're begging for employees around the state, in Bitterroot or out in Sydney in where we're dealing with the North Dakota oil boom. There's all kinds of work. If I don't want to relocate to where there is work, well, that's an option I have, but it doesn't mean that somebody else needs to pay for my bills.
Well, we got to go to another break. Before we do, I just wanted to give a heads up. We just got a call from Ginny, who's been stuck in traffic trying to go west into Missoula from the Bonner area. Apparently that snow slide that we had reported had been removed is still there.
Oh, my goodness.
She said cars are turning around, head back the other way. It's dreadfully slick.
Yes.
And they're turning around because they're saying it's going to be another hour before that is removed and they're able to go. She's been just sitting in traffic. If you have other experiences, if you've seen a crash or if you've seen a slide or if you've seen something that you think the rest of the public should know about, give us a call, 721-1290. Or if you have questions for Fred Thomas about this new plan to kind of reform Medicaid and expand coverage to more of the people not covered in Montana, give us a call.
Okay, 721-1290 is our number. We will be right back. And we are back on Talkback at 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. Fred Thomas joining us here on the radio. He's talking to us from Helena, where, of course, the state legislative session gets underway today. Lots of the bathrooms over that way, the lunchroom is this way, and they start. Is that right, Fred? Is that pretty much what's happening today, or what?
Yeah, I've been looking for one for a while here, but I'm going to find it, I swear.
Well, first you get the coffee, and then they'll tell you where the restrooms are. Yeah,
that's right.
Now, do you get a key to the executive restroom if you're in the state senate?
Oh my goodness, yes. It's completely marble.
And I was going to ask you this: Are the dress code obviously is going to be in effect? I understand there's always been a dress code for the state senate: suit and ties for men, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Senate, the decorum is very tight. Coat and tie, no jeans for men, and women dress professionally, and that's just been unwritten and worked for years, and so that's a good thing.
Well, I might ask you about your neckline to see if it's not too risque.
Fred,
there.
you have. I noticed that you leave two buttons unbuttoned sometimes. That's a little.
All right,
offensive.
Let's get back to the phone, Bruce.
Yeah, but I always zip.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's good. That's what the door warden is for. Anyway, Bruce, that's what the sergeant at arms is there for. Hey. Okay, Bruce is on the line, though. Bruce, good morning. You're on with Fred Thomas. Go ahead.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I've been listening to the sales pitch for this insurance thing, and I have a couple of questions. One is the government's raising, in my case, 400% my monthly premium, and yet they're reducing significantly my coverage and making my out-of-pocket annual expense so high that it's more than the monthly expense or the monthly premium. So while you're mandating all these requirements for us, the public, to pay to support this program, why don't you mandate the insurance company to provide services that are affordable and actually do something other than just take your money away from you?
Is that something you have any control over, Fred?
Well, I think that the good gentleman is speaking to Obamacare, in essence,
right.
Where I assume so, by what he said, that the health insurance product that he's buying and having to pay for isn't what he's looking for. And look at, that's part of the design of Obamacare, was to take away state-regulated health insurance, move it to the federal level. It costs more, force high deductibles on people, and the premiums are higher to boot. So, unfortunately, that's the model that we're dealing with today, and it's caused a lot of trouble for a lot of people.
And we
haven't
Fred,
even seen the beginning of this. When you go to small business and bigger business to do this, it's going to even have more havoc than we've seen so far.
And Fred, I think, and what Bruce probably would agree with is that particular fact is what's forcing more and more people to look to Medicaid, because that would be free health care. And they're saying, if I can't afford this, what they consider to be an outrageous amount of money for the Affordable Care Act, then the only option I have left is Medicaid. Is that, Bruce, is that what I hear you saying?
Well, yeah, basically, but somebody signs a contract for these insurance companies to provide this product, and the person signing off on it is just signing it. They're not saying, okay, well, you're not providing a good product, we're not going to sign the contract. They're just signing away. And it's, what I had prior was considerably cheaper and a considerably better product.
Well,
now
I wanted to ask you something, because there are certain things that these insurance companies have to do.
Right.
And if they're not performing their function properly, you can go to the state auditor and complain. By the way, lots of Montanans did that last year.
Yeah.
Blue Cross Blue Shield got ripped. A new one in my conversation with the state auditor not too long ago, because they weren't filing, or they weren't responding to complaints. They weren't responding to the state auditor's office. So there was a whole bunch of problems there. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Blue Cross Blue Shield would be the one that would be administering the governor's new plan in the coming year. So there are a lot of questions as to whether or not the way, even though it's on paper, it's supposed to work this way, if they're doing their job properly. But it sounds like your complaint is mostly that it costs more than it did before.
my complaint is it costs 400% more in my personal case, and I think a $25,000 out-of-pocket expense is pretty outrageous for a single individual.
25.
You'll never meet that. For me to meet a $25,000 annual deductible in order to even collect insurance in the first place means that I have to be on my deathbed or living in a machine in a hospital constantly, because in real life, you don't even have time to go to the doctor that frequently if you have a job in order to pay the premium.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for the call, sir. I don't know what to tell you about that, but I tell you what, Fred, we're up against another break. I know you have to go here pretty quick, but I wanted to just keep you for another segment if you don't mind. We're going to come right back with more of Talk Back after this quick timeout. You have any questions or comments for Fred, give us a call. Thanks for joining us here on this Monday edition of Talk Back, January 5th, 2015. Joining us on the phone, once again, Fred Thomas, a legislator from Stevensville, a Republican from the state Senate. And Marilyn is on the line. So, Marilyn, you're on Talk Back. Hi.
Good morning. Okay, were you able to touch on the tort reform at all? I was thinking you were going to be on until 10 o'clock, and so I think there's a lot more to say on this whole subject. But
let's get Fred to answer that. Fred, is tort reform something that you would like to address on a state level?
Yes, definitely, and we will be working with the different entities to bring that legislation forward and trying to create a better legal environment. And then I think Marilyn, if that was the good lady's name.
Yes, Marilyn's still with us,
has
too.
touched on one of the most important things that needs to be done, and that's where we need to reduce the exposure of doctors and hospitals to liability for providing health care. Now, we don't want people to have health care that's bad, of course, but right now we're advised that 10 to 25% of health care costs are derived around the point of doing extra tests and procedures to defend or create a defense for the doctor or the medical entity, so that they're not sued down the road. And so right there, you've got this gigantic chunk of money that if you could reduce the exposure and make it more difficult for litigation, then you would reduce costs. And
My question on that, Fred, is how are you going to get that past the Trial Lawyers Association? Because I understand they have a very powerful lobby, and those are the folks that actually make the lawsuits to start with.
Well, for sure, they are a powerful lobby, but
thanks for your call,
I've never had any trouble voting against their positions when they don't have the merit, when they have no merit, and I think there's a lot of us that don't have any problem with that. What we do need citizens to do is to call and encourage Democrat legislators to vote for tort reform, because they're less inclined to do that. They're more in line with the trial lawyers. They're big donors to the Democrat circles than Republican. And so we need citizens to call them and encourage them to support tort reform.
Okay, let's get Dave on the line. Dave, you are on with Fred Thomas. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks. What are the chances of repealing the present civil asset forfeiture statute?
Did you hear that, Fred?
No, the repealing
civil
what
asset
now?
forfeiture.
The civil asset forfeiture standard. Is there any chance of repealing?
Statute.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, that's a federal. That would be a federal.
It's a state law.
Dave says it's a state law.
Is it related to health insurance in it all?
No.
Well, then why the question?
Well, I thought we were beyond that by now.
No, we're not. We're still on health insurance.
We're talking about Medicaid.
But you can call us in as soon as Fred leaves in 5 minutes if you want to bring it up.
Thanks, Dave.
Sorry
about that.
We don't have much time left with you, Fred. So wrapping up, it seems to me one of the big questions that we're going to have to go through, and all of the tacticians in Helena have to go through, is any of this even possible? What does the veto game look like from your end? Because I would expect a lot of this would be vetoed because the governor wants his own plan through, and then it'll go back to the Senate and people will have to vote. And do you think that you have the votes to get any of this stuff through?
Well, I think, that's a very good question, really. And it's, what is there anything that's possible here? Is this just political fluff? And I think it is possible. And here's why. What we're proposing is very good policy for the state of Montana. We found people that need assistance because of the design of the healthcare setup that we're now living under. So it's good policy to step forward and take care of some people that need that. Secondly, therefore, that's good politics because it just goes hand in hand. So the governor can look at this and say, it's not everything I want, but it does take care of the next most needy people that are there. So let's do that. And Lord knows that healthcare, Obamacare as a general is going to get reformed and partially repealed or repealed entirely, what have you, at the federal level. And so there's a lot of things that we will need to do to respond to that as that gets changed at the federal level. I expect a great deal of change, especially if the Supreme Court rules and knocks Obamacare on its back because of the way they've executed the subsidies for the exchanges.
Right. Hey, Fred, we are. I know that you have to go and do actual legislative work, and we appreciate your time spending time with your constituents here in Western Montana. If folks want to get in touch with you there or your fellow legislators, how do they do that?
Well, I think one of the easy ways is to call 444-4800. Or go on. I mean, there's a phone. Obviously that's a phone, and then go online to the state of Montana. Go to the legislature, and then from there you can find us individually or as a whole. Whatever would be whatever somebody would like to do, or come visit. This place is the Capitol is beautiful. Every citizen should walk through here and take a look at this place as well as advise their legislators what they think on different issues.
A big question is, how accessible are you? I know you're busy with all sorts of hearings and that sort of thing, but how?
But we're around, and like if we're in a session, I mean, an individual can send a note in, and if we can come out, visit on the in the hallway, we can do that, or set up a meeting to visit and talk in depth, or what have you. There's all kinds of ways. We're just normal old citizens, just like everyone else.
All right. Well, Fred, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for spending a full hour of your time with us. We appreciate it, and best of luck in Helena the next 3 months.
Thank you, guys, and everybody take care with this weather, and God bless.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
State Senator Fred Thomas.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Montana is actually a pretty good system for following the legislative session. I did a blog yesterday giving you links for all the videos so you can watch the hearings live.
Right.
Also, it does have all that contact information if you want to call, place a message. If you send a call in through that number that Fred just gave, which is also in this blog, a page that's on the floor there will run the message directly to the legislators. I think you can get up to 4 legislators a message. For example, you could say, don't vote for this or vote for this. My vote depends on it. Whatever.
Right.
And they'll send those messages right away. There's also online connectivity there with the legislature.
Okay, we have a couple of updates here about school closures. Polson and Florence schools have canceled their classes for the entire day because of the heavy snow and ice and travel conditions. So those are the two that have canceled so far. I know Valley Christian, many of the other schools delayed their openings till 10 o'clock or even 10:30.
2-hour delays, yeah.
So we're going to come right back with more of Talk Back after this quick timeout. We have another great big mountain water story that cleared the wire this morning that I'm sure you just might have an opinion about. So our telephone number is 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. Talk Back will continue after this timeout. Hey, we're back on Talkback 721-1290. Got some funky stuff going on with the computers and transmitters.
So if you're sending me a Facebook comment, I apologize. I can't read it. I've been trying to fix my computer the entire show.
That is my 462-year-old laptop that you're working on. So
he got it on his 90th birthday.
I did.
It's
in dog years. It's pretty young.
When Peter dies. After this comes the deluge, so watch out.
Wow.
Don't look for Y2K. Don't be aware of blood red moons. Watch out for Peter.
That's right.
When good Peter leaves us, the world will be a sadder place.
If I go, God says, okay, we're done. Finally gotten rid of the worst part of, so now we'll just bring the world to an end and it'll be fine. Okay, so here, this is a story that cleared the wire this morning. It was actually in the Missoulian. And I hate to say there are certain people in this community that could so very righteously say, I told you so. But we were assured time and time again it would never get to this point. But it has. So here we go. Legal fees. Now this is from the wires of the Associated Press. Thank you.
My favorite sound.
Thank you. We spare no expense. Legal fees. Unlike others, legal fees in the lawsuit filed by the city of Missoula to condemn the water company that serves the city have hit. Can we take a guess? It started out, it was going to be $400,000, and then it was going to be $700,000, and then it was going to be, maybe $1 million at the outside.
400,000 was that the original? I thought it was less than that.
Well, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well, now the legal fees have hit. Drum roll, please. Again, we spare no expense.
Over $1 million?
$3.5 million. And they're going to go up. The city sued Mountain Water and the Carlisle Group last spring in Missoula County District Court. The Missoulian is reporting that the city will be responsible for all the parties' legal expenses. Yeah. We're generous. We got a whole bunch of taxpayers to pay for it. Trial is still 3 months away, and an appeal is likely after that. Mayor John Engen says he recognizes that the legal fees are large, but he says that the long-term cost to the community of not owning the utility would be, this is exactly what it says here, would be hundreds of times higher than that.
I would like to see what they estimate that being.
Well, what's 3.5 times? That'd be $300 million.
So basically, we have to expand Medicaid 3 times in order to pay for what the governor or the mayor thinks.
But if you remember when we had Mountain Water President John Kappas on a couple of weeks ago, he talked about this. He says the legal battle will prove unaffordable for the city and says it should focus on its basic needs.
Well,
so there's the story.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here, too, is we cover both bases. If you're the city, you're paying for your own legal fees.
Right.
Even though you didn't say you were going to do that.
Right.
For all the different legal firms you were originally. And they had to go back, retroactively fix that problem.
Well, now they got the permission to do that, so that's okay.
And thank you, obligatory city council, for bending over and taking that. And right out of us. And then after that, you've got the team of legal personnel for the Mountain Water Company. You got to pay for them as well.
Right.
You're at $3.5 million. You still have months to go before actual trial begins.
The trial is supposed to be in March. Okay, March 15th, in fact.
Now, keep this in mind.
All right.
We had this one other little case with the city of Missoula versus the the people that live on South Avenue, right? Remember how long? I mean, it was only a couple
10
months. It was like a couple months. 10 years?
Took 10 years to finally settle that.
That was a pittance, a much smaller case. We're talking a fraction of both the expense, but not only that, but the amount of, I guess what I should say, the determination of the individuals that were involved in that South Avenue case had a lot less on the line, frankly, than the Mountain Water Company will. So they're going to be there a lot longer with a lot more money. So if 10 years sounds like a good time of going, I mean, it was just a couple of weeks ago that we were at the $1 million mark.
Right.
And now we're at the $3.5 million mark.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll hit that 100 times or whatever the mayor expects it to
So I
be.
guess what I'd like to do, we have 20 minutes left in our program. If this is something that you'd like to discuss, did you ever get your internet back yet?
I did. I just got it back.
All right, good. So you can either, we'd love to have you on the air, 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. If you've been following this, and perhaps you didn't realize that the legal fees have now hit, it's just hard to say this, $3.5 million and are headed higher. If you would like to comment, give us an opinion. If you think, well, you know what? If you believe so strongly, as the mayor and the city council seem to do, that this expense, this front end expense of trying to obtain the water company for the city is worth the money. If you think it's worth the money and you're okay with this, I seriously, I want to hear from you. I really do, because there's a lot of folks, banging the drum saying this is terrible, shame on you, that sort of thing. But if there's somebody that this is a great idea, this is something that we should do, it's worth the investment, want to know what you think. 721-1290. Jane and Catherine are both on the line. We'll get you guys on here in just a moment. We still have a line open at 721-1290.
I'm sure all the lawyers out there that are on this case are saying, go for it, Missoula. We depend on you.
As long as the check clears. Okay, we're going to come right back. We'll have more Talk Back coming up right after this quick timeout. And we're back on Talk Back. Providing my own music, too. You'll
notice no music transitions today because of our fun to play with.
Our wonderful little computer system. Okay, so let's get right back to the phones.
We could play the sad trumpet.
That's okay. I don't want to be Charlie Brown. Jane, good morning. You're on Talk Back. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you. I happen to be an engineer, and I know some of the people involved on the city side and on the Mountain Water side, and I was around the first time this happened also. And I oppose the purchase of the water company for the simple reason that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right.
So you were there. What role did you play in the first episode? This was in the 80s, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, kind of bystander. I knew people involved in it.
Okay. So and you oppose it simply because the system works.
Well, the system works, so why spend a lot of money changing it? If it was one thing for the Mountain Water to come to us and say, hey, we want to divest ourselves of this business, do you want to buy it? I would say consider it.
Well, let me give you what the mayor's position would be. Because he'll say, well, we can make it work better, and number two, we can save money and provide a cheaper, better service for the community. Why wouldn't we want that? Long term, it's the best deal.
I disagree with him on both counts. I don't think the city can run it better. I've seen a lot of the city operations, and I've seen a lot of the Mountain Water operations, and I disagree.
What jumps to your mind as one of the city operations that doesn't run better?
What I know of is some of the sewer operations that have caused problems and boil orders for part of the city.
Okay. Well, Jane, in your opinion, then, what should be done? See, because here's the problem. Even if Mayor Engen throws up his hands and say, you know what, I've heard the public opinion, I understand, I hear you, we're just going to drop this lawsuit, we're going to just let things go, we're still going to be on the hook for $3.5 million in legal costs, right?
That's right.
So why not just keep going and try to, if we're in this deep now, why not just keep going rather than losing all that investment and try to make it work?
Well, there's two reasons. One is that we do better to cut our losses while we can. And secondly, there is no expectation necessarily that we will prevail. we may lose a lot more money and still never own that water company.
All right, Jane, thanks so much for the call.
Sure.
Have a great day. Go ahead.
You start to get the sense that you're watching a drunk in Vegas. Double or nothing, double or nothing. Okay, put it all on red. But guess who goes in the red? It's not city council or the mayor. It's the city.
Yeah. Let's get Catherine on the line. Catherine, you are on Talkback. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. Total assets that I just looked this up of Algonquin and Liberty Utilities is approximately $1,282,000,000, and the total assets under management at Carlisle is over $100 billion. So we are throwing our money and the assets of Missoula taxpayers up against a huge entity.
Well, is this interesting you'd say that, Catherine, because in my conversations with the mayor, what we have two, I think, very good law firms here in Missoula that are working on this. But when you think about Carlisle Group and Algonquin, they have tall buildings with every floor full of really good attorneys that are just, yeah, bring it on, baby. You know,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't know. And of course, it all has to come before a district judge here in Missoula in March, which that court date has been threatened to be, moved back and moved back and moved back. So.
Well, and that is not the final court date that will happen then, depending upon who wins or who loses.
Right. There'll be an appeal.
There'll be an appeal, and it will be appealed and appealed and appealed for years down the line. And the people that are going to suffer are the the Mountain Water company employees, and the Mountain Water customers.
Well, and the taxpayers.
Well,
and the taxpayers.
But here's something else to think about, Catherine, and maybe you can help me with this. Maybe I'm wrong about this. Is that while all this litigation is going on, what if there is a major problem with the Mountain Water infrastructure, and Mountain Water says, you know what, there's so much going on, we're not willing to spend the capital to fix this, especially if it's going to be taken over through condemnation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, this is all speculation. I don't know if that would ever happen. But I remember when we visited with John Kappas, he said, their folks in Mountain Water are really diligent in trying to make sure that everything's running smoothly, and parts of the infrastructure are aging and need to be replaced and repaired. And they're going to keep their end of the bargain up in that end. But I'm wondering, corporately speaking, why would somebody spend millions of dollars trying to fix something that they could lose in court?
Well, that's a very good point. That's an excellent point, Peter.
Okay, can I just go home now then?
Well, Peter, I'll tell you why.
All right,
because not taking care of the system makes it more likely that they lose in court. Because if we have a public health interest in occupying or managing the water system,
sure,
then we have a much better case.
All right.
Well, but they are in the process of upgrading the system, because of course some, especially in the downtown area, a lot of them were still wooden pipes as far as I knew.
Right, exactly.
And as the sewer pipes were upgraded and the electrical lines were upgraded over the last few years, the water company was upgrading when they dug the trenches.
Sure.
They'd upgrade everything.
Yeah, the trench is already open. Why not go ahead and fix them? You bet.
Yeah. So they will continue to do that, and John is right about that. But if there's a massive problem, well, I don't know.
Let's just say the incentive is not there to really go all out. You know what I mean? But I could be wrong. Catherine, thanks for the call.
Sure. Bye.
Go ahead, John.
I see it opposite. They have a huge incentive to perform a great service, because if they fail in any way to provide a good service to Missoula community residents, then the legal system is going to find them, in the shadows or in the dark, and they're going to vote in favor or judge in favor of the city.
So the condemnation would be that much more sure for the city.
Yeah. I mean, if we had lead, if our water wasn't being taken care of, we were unhealthy, which, by the way, isn't one of the charges the city's brought. No,
absolutely not.
But if there was problems of that magnitude, then there would be a public health interest in maybe having the city manage it.
All right. So I guess we take away my good point. Thanks, John. First, you tell me what happened with Downton Abbey, and now Shoot me down.
But all the really mean people also died. So it was a good.
So smallpox wins the day.
Yeah, God sorts everybody out.
Okay,
It's
there you
good.
go.
It's just like
Okay,
real life.
Thanks. Bruce and Linda, we're going to get you guys on after this 1-minute timeout. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us here on Talkback. And we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. All right. Someday we'll have our music back, but that'll be fun. Bruce, good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi. Go ahead, please, sir.
Good morning, guys. Happy New Year. Hey, it's nice to have you guys back without music.
Oh, well, you don't like my humming, my humming along? But anyway, go ahead.
That's good. Well, if I remember right, when John Kappas was on, two things that he said. One, if the city acquired the water company, then they wouldn't have to approve rate hikes through the PSC.
Correct. Yeah, the Public Service Commission would no longer be involved in regulating the utility. That's correct.
That's right. So there you go. Property taxes go up for that. And then second thing was a matter of annexation. Something to do with, I guess, people can be hooked up to the water company but still be out in the county. But if the city got the water company, they would automatically all be annexed.
That would be something that we would need to ask about.
I think
Because
that was a concern someone brought up.
Yeah.
I don't think it was something John said.
Oh, okay, good, because I know how annex happy our honorable mayor is.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to increase the tax base, annexation is really the only way to do it.
Yeah. Because, there's got to be some kind of a money grab there, because that's the only way I can see he could justify throwing this money away.
Well, it's not the only way. You could also try to get 2 new taxes in the city of Missoula.
Well,
like a gas tax and a resort tax.
And you could also do the very best you can to try to get more high-paying businesses to locate in Missoula, which would provide more jobs, which would increase the tax base. But that's the old-fashioned way.
Yeah,
Come here, you can pay for our water system.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you don't want to do that, because that just makes too much sense.
Well, I actually, to be fair, I really think that particular effort is ongoing all the time.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Well, Bruce, thanks for the call, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. And because the mayor is not on the show, so
they try hard to do that. I mean, that's why they gave the city money to Starbucks to move in on Brooks and other local coffee chains didn't get that money, but they had the opportunity to if they had the right lawyers and the people to see it.
Linda, good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Hi, good morning, guys.
What's on your mind, ma'am?
Hey, I just wanted to comment about all of the money that's going to be spent on this lawsuit, and I think that the reality is that they're probably not going to back out of it at this point, and so I would imagine they're going to keep going until it's done. So we're going to be on the hook for a lot of money on that. But if we have a business, and I just think that if you have a business and you spend a lot of money doing something, you have to cut back somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And why can't they start telling people, or why can't people start telling them to find ways to cut back on their end? To start, cutting back on some of the administration or some of the positions in the departments of the city that don't really need to be there.
Well, it's interesting, Linda. Whenever you get together with a city council person or the mayor or someone who is involved in city government, the first thing they say is, well, the minute you take away a city service, then you've got hundreds of people screaming and yelling, saying, "Oh, that I really depend on that. You can't not take care of the parks. You can't not do this. You can't not do that.
Yeah.
You can't not do that." And so, the more things that we depend on, the fewer things that they're willing to take away.
Well, and plus you have to make sure you increase the wages of everybody in city government every year as well.
And that's
it's
the
important.
part that bothers me. That's the part that bothers me is the departments that they have there are adding positions.
I understand, but there are also, and again, I hate to keep playing devil's advocate here, but there are also contractual situations that unions have negotiated over the past that come due year after year after year, that you find people getting increases in wages that doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to bankrupt the city.
Right. Well, and it's not just the unions. Non-union employees like the mayor himself can get raises as well. It's all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Linda?
That's it.
All right, thanks for the call. Larry, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Yes, hello. I would say look at the numbers. I read the paper yesterday, and the mayor said that he knows that $3.5 million is a lot of money, but if we don't spend this money, and I think this is a direct quote, the people of Missoula will spend hundreds times more money than that.
Right.
Well, I figure by the time it's done, and I think you would agree that it's probably going to be around $5 million. Take that times hundreds. Do the numbers. By hundreds, that's two. That's $1 billion. Now, that, according to the paper, somebody wrote a letter to the editor yesterday and said the total income from the city in taxes is $27.5 million a year. So the mayor is saying, if we don't do this, the citizens of Missoula will lose every penny they pay in taxes, real estate taxes, for the next 36 and a third years. That's ridiculous. This guy lies all the time, the mayor, and he just, nobody calls him on it.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Larry.
Numbers to it.
I'm going to try to get an interview with Mayor John Engen, get him on the phone. And
Remind him about that.
Well,
Hundreds of times more than what we're spending, and that's $1 billion.
I will ask about that number, and hopefully I can get him on the phone and talk about it.
Yeah.
Because he is willing to talk about this. So
okay,
just not on Talkback.
But thanks for the call, Larry. Appreciate that. All right, we have 2 minutes. Candy, go.
Yes, I want to go back. I think I heard Jane comment about annexation, and I'm thinking it was about the sewer. I got in late, that the sewer was used for annexation, which is true, and it doesn't run as well as people are led to believe. But to go forward, then come back up to where there was a comment made by the water, somebody talking about the water, and the water being used for annexation. I can totally see that because, and I have to say it again, if you don't go back and look and see what's planned for us through Agenda 21, you're not getting the full picture.
All right, thanks, Candy. Zach, you're on Talkback. We have like a minute. Go.
Hi, guys. With regard to the mountain water condemnation.
Yes, sir.
This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, I can't imagine how the mayor would step back now knowing that the public would blame him for essentially outright wasting at least $3.5 million.
I think you make a great point. I mean, the only way to see a change in the way that this is going is a political change or a victory.
Which won't happen for another 3 years, by the way.
Right. I think this is a breach of the city council's fiduciary duty to taxpayers, a breach of the mayor's fiduciary duty to the citizens of Missoula.
Well, save one. The vote was, I believe, 11-1 in favor of moving forward with this.
I'm not entirely sure that's true because I thought the city council had only agreed to consider the matter further, and that the mayor said that there would be an actual vote. I may be mistaken about that.
So there's lots of different votes that the city council has done. One expanded the ability of the mayor to spend money on lawyers. That was more recent, and it was 11-1, if I recall.
And Zach, I'm so sorry. We're completely out of time, but we will continue to talk about this later this week, okay?
Take care, guys.
Thanks for the call. And we're out of time. Tomorrow, Rob Nadelson.
That's right. We'll be talking about the Commerce Clause.
All right, you guys have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will talk to you tomorrow morning right here on Montana Morning.